Hi, my name is Logan Cowey. I'm 13 years old and I love training MMA. I compete in a lot of sports, including Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, and wrestling, and also track and cross country. I love doing sports and they help me a lot. And I love training with all my buddies at gyms, and my future is to be an MMA fighter. I love the UFC, I love watching it. That is my dream. I train 6 days a week. I love wrestling, and I love boxing. Those are probably my two favorites to get into, the zone. I love the environment of tournaments and all the people around. I love looking at my opponents before I go against them and seeing what they look like. See if it will be like, ooh, that's an easy match, or ooh, this is going to be a hard one, just by body language and athleticism. I love running at track meets and in cross country. I like competing against other schools to show that our school is better. I love competing in wrestling. I like the environment. I don't like the singlet, but it has to be on, right? I like the big medals that you get, right? And I like getting gold, but I guess if you lose, then you get silver. That's fine too. I love to train in MMA sparring. I love sparring with my buddies, and a lot of people think, oh, when you get punched in the face, I couldn't take that, or I wouldn't just let that happen. But a lot of time when you get punched in the face by your friend, especially, it's not just them trying to get better, but it's also making you tougher, right? When you spar and you go 100%, you're not only perfecting your skills, but you're helping your friends perfect theirs, right? The difference between training and sparring, it's a lot of work. You go live rounds for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe even 5, right? You train hard, you're sparring with them, right? And training, you're practicing drills, right? Not going 100%, you're just flowing with it. Then when you do light sparring, that's when you start to be able to goof around with your friends, right? Just show them where they are, right? And especially when you get against a good guy, right? Sometimes you think, oh yeah, I'm gonna blast him, right? But sometimes it doesn't turn out that way, and sometimes you get punched in the nose really hard and it starts bleeding, but sometimes you just gotta power through that and keep going.
Oh, are you?
Way down there.
Yeah, you're way down there.
A lot of the time, when you do a fight night, a fight night is people come in from different gyms, right? Get ready, right? You get your wraps on a lot of the time, right? A lot of the time it's striking, not as much grappling, right? You see MMA fights, you see kickboxing fights, Muay Thai, boxing, right? It's a fun night, right? There's a card. People pay to come in to watch, especially when your kid is fighting. A lot of the time, my first fight night, I did a kickboxing match. I loved every second of it. When I really got punched for the first time in my fight night, I was like, whoa, this is different from sparring, right? And then you start picking it up, and then the other starts picking it up, and you feel tired by the first round because you go, and you don't really know how it works, especially in your first fight night, right? You go, and then you're like, okay, I'm a little bit out of breath, right? You get some water, you get some ice on your back, you go right back in, right? You win, say you lost the first round, then you win the second, then you win the next, right? That's happened a lot of the times. And like, especially when you're training up for it, a lot of the time the other opponent wins the first round because like, or you win the first round, right? Because the other opponent is like, all right, I'm ready, right? And then you go, and then you're like, oh shoot, I've never really like done this as much as like jits and crap, right? You pick it up, right? And when you fight in boxing, right, and you're getting hit in the liver and you're getting hit in the face, you're like, whoa, this is fun, but it's starting to hurt, right? Especially in like those later rounds when you're just out of breath and the other person's out of breath and then it looks sloppy and you're just getting hit in the jaw. But when you can like pick up those rounds and you can stay within them, right, and you can just like find a flow, like look at the other person and see, all right, he's dropping his hand whenever he throws this punch, right? And then you start hitting him, then you start beating on him on the side of the ropes, right, until the ref gets you off, right? A lot of the time in fight nights, right, you raise both hands because like it's just for fun. Everybody goes in it. It's not real. Like it's not like a real thing like on a record, right? It's just fun. Since I'm only like 13, right? When I'm like 16 plus, then we get to like do more like sanctioned, more like competing-esque like matches, right? Not just like fight nights. Like when you're only like younger and like you're 13, you gotta wear headgear. And sometimes when you're 16, right, in like sanctioned matches, you still wear headgear. But when you're like higher level, like 17, 18, right, you should take off the headgear. You're going, you're fighting hard. Sponsors a lot of the time like look at your fights and have to like see how good you are, right? Say if you're like 3-0, right, and you had some like good high names in the sport that you're doing, right, then like sponsors start like creeping in and keep watching you, keep seeing if you're good or not, right? But when you go like 2-1 or 2-2, then you start not getting sponsors. When like, especially in like the MMA setting, right? And you go in, right? You punch them, you kick them, you take them down, you submit them, right? You get the win. Your hand gets raised, right? You feel great after it, and then when you're like thinking, ooh, I might get sponsors after this, it's like depending on like the way you fight. Like when you just go for like a pure wrestling style, you don't punch them at all, or like when you punch them and kick them like a little bit and then you just wrestle them for the entire time, you might not get sponsors because like a lot of people are like looking for like big knockouts or big TKOs or like really sick submissions, right? You gotta make yourself look really good out there, right? And you gotta try your hardest, and then you get sponsors, and then you get more money, right? Like with like sanctioned matches, sometimes you win big medals, or sometimes it's like a cash prize, right? Like in like UFC and stuff, even when you lose, you get a little bit of money, right? And when you win, you get a lot more, right? That's what I love about fighting, is like everybody wins, right? Like even when you lose, you still learn, right? And like people think, oh, when you lose, you just did bad, but that's not true at all. When you when you train and roll and spar with your coaches, right? It makes you like feel, oh, this is where I'm going wrong, because like the coaches know a lot of stuff about you, especially because they've been training you, right? They've been teaching you things, And when you try those things on them, it doesn't really work because they taught you them, right? So when you go up against your coaches, right, it's like a great learning experience. It helps you in the long run. That's why I love doing the adult classes, because like a lot of the time when you roll somebody better than you all the time, or somebody bigger or stronger, right, a lot of the time it makes you bigger and stronger, right? It makes you better than all the other kids that you go up against, right? Especially when you do like adult classes, right? You do a lot of open mats at different gyms, right? You just go around, you get experience like picking and grabbing experience from like different places, right? And like when you go to like certain like open nights, right? Just like take in everything that the other person does, right? Then you go back to your gym, you practice that out, right? And you practice going up against that, and then you're like unbeatable, right? But when you do lose, right? A lot of people just like get upset, maybe have like hissy fit, right? And in martial arts, especially like say like all like the other sports out there, non like fighting sports, right? A lot of people will get really upset when they lose, but in fighting it's the opposite, because like as soon as you lose, right, and you feel bad and you feel crappy, right, then it just all goes away, and then you feel happy for the other opponent, right, that they're going up in the food chain and going up in the world, right? And you're sitting there thinking like how you can be better, how you lost. You watch that video over and over and over and over again, right? And how you lost. Then you start to pick up on those like little details that you didn't do, right? And when you're at a tournament, right, like the best thing to do is just like relax, chill, maybe warm up like a couple matches before yours, right? Like warm up, like a lot of the time when you're doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, you want to be glistening at least before your match, right? Because that's when you're like really warmed up, you're amped up, you're ready to go, right? And then when you like absolutely destroy your opponent, right, it feels good after, right? Because then you feel a little bit tired, but then get some water, right? You sit down for a minute, then you feel great, and then you're just ready for the next match, then the next, then the next.